Hello everybody, my name is Krillo and today I would like to talk about a map that I created. It's called Taipei. So let me just load it and I will talk you through it. As you can see, this is a 1 versus 1 map. You might be wondering, what's so interesting about it? We already have a lot of 1 versus 1 maps, a lot of them are good and some of them are even in the official map pool. Yes, I agree, but I also think this map is kind of unique and not like the rest. So let me explain. I specifically wanted to create a map which would force players to build navy units, and on this map you have this sea and these islands. So when you start, there is no room to expand and you will be forced to expand to the north. Yes, I do know we already have maps like that, but if you pay attention to them, most of them are either team maps or maps where spawns are really far from each other. So on this map, as you can see, as you can judge by the build radius, spawns are close to each other. So each player is vulnerable to infantry rushes. The main idea of this map is when you start, you think, what should I do here? Should I attack early or should I expand to the islands and proceed to the late game? And at the same time, you think about your opponent, what is he going to do? And this is where it gets interesting. If you go navy, and your opponent decides to rush you, then you are out of the game. The same can happen if you, for example, both start to be aggressive. Then it's probably be equal for the most part. If you cannot out-micro your opponent, you will also forced to expand to the north, because eventually ore will run out. Speaking of ore, each player has 4 ore mines, 2 here and 2 here. This is a gem mine and it's protected by the walls. I'll talk about the walls in a bit. So yeah, each player has 4 ore mines. It's definitely enough to make early games interesting, and it's enough to create a small blob and, for example, send it from this bottom trail. This bottom trail does not allow MCV deployment. That's on purpose, so you cannot base walk from here. It's just a nice back trail which you can use to perform sneak attacks. There is also this sand bridge, double sand bridge, and this is the main place where you will be fighting, at least in early game. So the bottom trail and the top bridge are just nice options to do sneak attacks, but you will probably not win any games by using them. You can probably though do some damage. So the main idea is to keep holding this area and expand to the north. So if you also look closely, you will notice 4 oil derricks. One is in the middle, one is on this side, and one is on the other side, and one is on the island. So this derrick is not really that important because it will be destroyed in the first 10 minutes of the game. This oil derrick and these oil derricks on the sides are really well protected in early game, but the problem is if you play against allies, they will probably destroy them. So this is why you have this area where you can build place your army or build defense structures to protect this side. It's mirrored. And speaking about this oil derrick, I think you know that maps where oil derricks on islands for example, Old Man to Man, the official map, are pretty much imbalanced because allies have quicker access to them due to having a Chinook. On this map though, it's not that bad because eventually Soviets will have to build a sub-pen, so they also have good chances to capture this oil derrick. So there is a minor disadvantage, but overall I think Soviets have advantage in early game, and this is where walls come in. So let me explain this decision. For example, we play as allies and we want to get quick access to the gems so we can do interesting attacks. I noticed people usually build rocket soldiers and start doing this, and this doesn't really work because rocket soldiers, imagine that, need 50 shots to destroy one concrete wall, one piece. So your best bet is to build a turret and start shooting like this. A turret needs 17 shots. However, if you play Soviets, you can build one grenadier and destroy this probably in 1 minute. Because grenadiers do significant damage to the walls and they only need 8 shots. So, why did I do that? First of all, I do think this is an allies map because destroyers are really powerful and they can easily shut down planes, submarines and such, especially if you mass them. So also allies have artilleries and they can really have a convenient place here and pound from this position, like here. For example, you have a refinery here. Artilleries eventually will be trying to destroy this. So it's really strong. And Soviets, on the other hand, don't have much options, so they really need some advantage here. And also the other reason is that people are used to normal build orders, like on normal maps, 1 versus 1 maps. You don't have access to gem mines, and you usually remember your build order, you know your timings, you know how to make an efficient base, like how many harvesters you need and such, and gem mines really ruin this experience, since you can just collect them as soon as possible and do crazy infantry rushes, for example. So it gives a little bit of delay. I do think it's quite important on this map. And why do we even have gem mines? Initially, in the first versions of the map, it was a regular ore mine, and it was obvious that it's not enough ore on the mainland. So if you want, you can forget about this area and never expand. You can work off of these 4 ore mines and do early attacks. That's definitely possible on this map, but if you fail, then sorry, you will probably lose. So if you expand fast and control the sea, you win the game. And this is pretty much intentional. You can come back later, but I didn't really see any games, so I cannot speak for sure, but you have this safe spot which is relatively easy to defend with defense structures, for example, if you are Soviets, like here, and you can rebuild your naval army, for example, and try to work with that. Also, one of the main ideas was that your main base matters. You might be thinking, hey, it would be nice to build an early subpen, an early transport, and evacuate your MCV to the islands. So if you do that, you are really screwed. Why? Well, because you will only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ore mines. On the other hand, your opponent, if he controls this side and this side, will have 8 ore mines, and 2 of them will be gem mines. And not even speaking of the Derek's advantage. So if you really don't protect this area, you lose the game. And this is intentional. I didn't want to create a map where everybody turtles and the game lasts for ages. So even, for example, a missile silo and the atom bomb cannot decide it. On this map you are really vulnerable to missile silo, I mean to the atom bomb, and you really want to build it as fast as possible. But on the same at the same time, if you decide to go tech early because spawns are close to each other, you are risking, since your opponent can perform an early attack and to destroy you. So what else? There is also a breach on this map. You can repair it and lock this area. I don't know why it would be useful, but it was possible to do, to implement that, so I decided to give it a try. So, also notice there is ore here. Eventually your harvesters will move to this area and start collect ore here, and inevitably these guys will try to destroy your ore truck. So you have to pay close attention. This is intentional, so it's a really micro-intensive map, and yeah, you have to pay attention. I think I explained early game pretty well, and time to talk about the top part of the map. So yes, let me just to recap. The bottom is very important. The top is not that important, but if your opponent decides to expand and you are not doing that, you really have to play aggressively, because otherwise you will lose very quickly. Alright, the top area, it's pretty interesting. This island is where you will want to expand first. And here, these areas are blocked from base pushing, so you will have probably to use ships or something, probably infantry, and this area is hard to defend. So also don't forget about this area. This is the most important place on the map. But you will need to collect ore from here. These sites are easy to defend, but at the same time it's the last place where you will expand, because it has only one ore mine. From the games that I saw, people usually build a base here, the opponent builds a base here, then they start moving to this place like this, and they start base pushing. That's totally fine, because it will not be OP, and by that time you will have some ships, some hinds, yaks, etc. So you really, both players are prepared. It's not like you just expanded and bam, you are being base pushed into your face. So from what I saw, at least from my experience, it's fine. I am open to rework some areas of the map, but the general layout will probably remain. I'm pretty happy about it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and give this map a try and let me know if you enjoyed it. Thanks.